How's good, everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, where you basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. Tonight, I'm doing another segment for Get to Know That Actor, and I'm joined here by voice actor Jacob Craner. How are we doing, Jacob?
Woo! I'm doing fantastic. It's a brisk, chilly day in Los Angeles, and
Oh yeah, it's rainy and cloudy over here up in the Pacific Northwest.
hey, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. Well, interior Northwest. I was born in Spokane,
Nice,
Washington, and I grew up in Sandpoint, Idaho, all my life. So
nice.
one of my people,
Oh yeah,
Wayne,
oh
Wayne, one of
yeah,
us.
oh yeah. So basically, we're gonna be talking about how you got into voice acting, how long you've been doing it for, the voices you've done, and just
Yeah,
also like what it's like, not just being behind the mic, but being outside of the mic too. Talk about your life and stuff like that.
sure.
See, why is my be a little bit slow here for some reason. So to begin, how long have you been voice acting for, and what got you into voice acting?
Let's see. I've been trying at it. I first got the inklings to do it probably when I was about 24-ish, 25-ish, 23, 24, 25. I'm 33 now. So it's been I've been with my agency that I'm with now, Vox, for 7 years. And yeah, I actually got into it from I went to school for audio engineering in Arizona,
Nice.
and then I'm a West Coast baby, so I was like, it was either a choice at the time of the two biggest job markets, New York, LA, maybe Atlanta. I don't know, and I thought I just need to stay on the West Coast, so I went to Los Angeles and got a job immediately at a. I was lucky enough to intern at a voiceover recording studio where they
Nice.
recorded a bunch of primetime animation, a lot of video games. My first credit was they put me right on Fallout New Vegas. They needed dialogue editors for that, so I edited a lot of lines of dialogue for New Vegas.
And that's a pretty
And
that's a I think that's a fairly popular game out of in the Fallout franchise.
oh yeah, I played the hell out of it. I always liked just camping outside the Legion camp.
Hmm.
What do they call it? Kaiser. They call them in the game. Sitting out there sniping them. That was always a blast. Um, but I had some theater background and improv background from high school, and I'm like, I want to do that. I'm a singer and stuff, and I was, watching all these VO pros do their stuff. And I'm like, I want to do that. So after a while, I started to make the transition. And
Nice.
it's been a slow and steady uphill climb from there. It's a
No, it sounds
grind.
it sounds
It's a
like it.
Yeah, the acting grind is, it's a grind just like any other pursuit that you
Oh yeah.
want to do. But like anything worth it in life, good things take time. So
Yeah,
just
yeah, just my let's see that. Okay, I think
yeah.
that made it. Okay, that's a lot better. So you were doing dialogue for gaming what was that like doing voice dialogue stuff for Fallout New Vegas?
So what they would do is give us the raw recording sessions, usually
Mm-hmm.
done in Pro Tools audio program, and then they'd give us a big old spreadsheet of just the hundreds or even thousands of lines of dialogue from the character, and you had to go in, cut out each one, sometimes make sure not always on American productions, but sometimes like on Japanese or foreign language productions, sometimes they have to meet a certain time duration because
Right.
it's already been recorded in another language, and it's got to fit the character's mouth moving.
Mouth
You,
movement. Yeah.
yeah, so you cut it out, you clean it up, clean out all the. That's the thing too, is when you're editing dialogue, especially in headphones, you get a real intimate knowledge about all of the weird, freaky noises that a human mouth can make. All the
Oh,
that
I believe it.
so
Um,
so you clean all that junk out, you take the file name, because they have a specific file name for it, so they can plug it into their audio engine, Wise, whatever, name it that, and then export it. And then if we're just starting out like me, some of it gets kicked back and they say fix it and take another pass at it. But that's without talking ad nauseum about all of the little technical nuances and stuff. That's in a nutshell.
I feel like especially with voice actors or actors, they start like where you started, where you're like helping behind the scenes, and then like
Hmm.
you get that taste of what it's actually like.
Yeah. And then you realize, at least for me, because you know, I had things where people would say like, "Oh, you got a good voice. You should do voiceover." And then I got into voiceover, and then I was like, "Shit, I need to learn how to act for." I mean, because the voice only goes so far. If
Oh yeah.
you got to know what to do with it, and how to convey the emotion properly, how to decode what people want from audition specs and sides and stuff, kind of get into their mind, going what they're going for, and properly convey that in an authentic, and make it real. Make
Oh
the
yeah.
emotion real for you. If it's not going to be real for the character, or if it's not going to be real for you, then it's not going to be real for the character. So,
Yeah.
and then I'm always expanding on my acting journey. I love it. I
Oh,
love
I mean,
just
there's nothing wrong with that. Brings me to a next question. What like inspired you to want to get into this line of work?
I love video games. And I love having my silly voices and all my silly characters. Can I'm just a I'm a silly dude, and I like to wear that on my sleeve, and this is a great way to express that, and just share my weirdness with the world. So everyone should be sharing their weirdness with the world, because that's what makes us awesome.
Oh, and I imagine there were times when you first started, like when you were auditioning, that you weren't picked, but I'm sure you never gave up as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is a hurdle, dealing with you got to learn how to take the rejection, uh because I think um a lot of most actors, we audition for so much stuff, and we only book, like this much out of it. And um because yeah, if people are like me and how my agency is, like I get a lot of auditions.
Oh, I'll bet. And you work
And
for an
yeah,
agency called Vox.
yeah, Vox is the agency.
What are they like being part of them as a talent agency?
Oh man. They feel like family, honestly. Everyone is very invested. We have good rapport, very natural, authentic. Even though it is a business transaction, two-way in a business relationship, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like home. I love
Yeah,
them.
I've
I
never
love
heard of
you,
them before
Michaela and
personally.
Tom.
I've never heard of them before, but it sounds like they do a really good job finding you voice roles. I mean, from what I've seen in your IMDb, it seems like they found you a lot of pretty good roles from Genshin Impact to Dragon Quest to Mortal Kombat to, you know, Legend of Zelda. It just seems like in anime, it just seems like they really know what they're doing to help help the people that work for them.
Yeah, and being an agent is very, very involved, intense work, because not only are you constantly emailing clients and stuff and hooking up your talent with clients, but they're getting to know the clients, or their actors, their talents, just skills, and kind of what kind of things they book, what kind of things they tend to do well at. So they got to be invested in that sense, so they know to send you the right roles to audition for. You
Right.
know, and yeah, Vox does an amazing job of that.
Do you remember what your first role was that they got for you back when you
Mm,
started this years ago?
the very first job I booked with Vox was for Amazon Alexa. It was a little commercial run. They were called
Nice.
Alexa Moments, and
Oh, I've heard of that.
yeah, they're like little 15-second commercials where someone's like, Alexa, order more kombucha or whatever. And then there's and like in a lot of them, they were shot with actors on screen, but their back was facing camera, like they were facing away, or their head was off screen or something. So then they would bring in a voiceover actor
Oh,
to
to do some I think what's what called ADR. Or is
yeah,
that
yeah. Except in this sense, it wasn't usually because ADR is usually like
Oh
matching the
right.
mouth movements and
Oh
stuff.
right. It was more
And
so
this
like
the yeah the
okay.
the on-screen actors weren't showing their like faces or the front of their faces on camera, so you're using like a
Okay.
disembodied voice to kind of fill in their voice there.
Okay. Nice. What was that like for doing something like that for Amazon?
Well, starting off, I mean, it was my first commercial. I was scared shitless, of course.
As most people would be.
Yeah, it's just something. It's new. That's your natural reaction when you're in new and foreign territory. But it was we recorded at oh, what was the studio? It was a studio down in Hollywood, but I can't remember. Ah, shit, I know the name of it, but I can't remember it.
It's
Sorry,
it's all
you'll
good.
have to edit around this
Oh,
now.
I'm used to doing a bunch of editing on in these when it comes to the content I do. It's just editing and it's like okay, I gotta take that
Yeah,
part out, add this part in. Will this voice match with the video gaming episode I
yeah.
did?
Okay, reset. Clear editing point. Yeah, working on Amazon with um no, but once we got in there, I mean, I only said one line for the commercials, even though it was like a couple of commercials. But just went in there, did it. They aired, and then I was like, "Holy crap, they aired it! I did the job."
I imagine you weren't
Was
expecting that to kick off from what you're doing now.
uh, yeah, no, I mean, I still love doing commercials. I would love to do more of them. Commercials are just a blast to do, and they tend to be pretty lucrative most of the time.
So
But
I
I,
imagine.
I was I
Go
was
ahead,
stoked
sorry.
when I started getting more in the vein of video games because I finally finished a game that I was actually in. I finished Halo Infinite last week.
Oh, I saw that on your IMDb that you would do some various roles. That's pretty cool to be in a Halo game, especially since
Hell
it's been
yeah.
around for like 20 years. Over
Teenage
20.
Jacob would be flipping his lid right now, being like, "What?" I used to Halo used to be my jam back in the day, but specifically, I voiced the jackals, so the
Oh, you
Kibyar.
voiced the voice of the Jackals. I hate
Yeah,
those things, but the fact that you got to voice.
I
I
know
mean,
you got to shoot their hand and stuff,
I
and
remember when they
expose
didn't
them
have
from behind
any.
their shield.
I remember they just had like random screeching noises back from
Yeah,
like Halo's 1 through 3,
yeah,
and then later on they get like they're given actual roles like the grunts.
yeah,
That's pretty cool that you got to voice, and Halo. That
yeah.
actually brings me to another question since you talk
Human,
about
human
since you,
is near. Kill Spartan.
I love it. So that kind of brings me to a question because talked about, young you would be thrilled.
Hmm.
If you were to go actually ask this question for another voice actor a while back, how do you think your younger self would feel if you told him, "Hey, we're gonna be doing all this when we're older"?
Oh man. Well, I'm getting my time machine. I would hop back to 2003 to 13-year-old Jacob. I kneel down and I put my hand on his shoulder and I say, buddy, things are going to get pretty sweet. Just stick,
And then he would just freak out like,
yeah,
Who the hell are you? Why are you here
just,
in my house?"
just stick with it. Take your lumps. Don't give up the fight. Keep going. Believe in yourself. All that generic stuff,
Oh yeah. Oh.
motivational stuff. No, I think he'd be like, "Are you in StarCraft?" And I'd be like, "No."
No.
Oh, are
Oh
you in World of
man.
Warcraft yet? No. Uh, no, he'd be
Man.
stoked.
Oh, I'll bet. So I imagine before you got to be a full-time professional voice actor, you had your standard, 5 to 9 job, you
Sure.
know. 'Cause I know
Yeah.
everyone has I know when you're just getting into this, you still have to like work because I know even though you're getting paid to do this, there's always that thing where you may not get another voice acting job, so you need like,
Yeah.
another job to help with rent and
Sure.
income
Sure.
and all that stuff.
And like especially these days, it's expensive to be alive. So you got
Oh, I agree on that.
yeah, so you and me both, brother. And actually I still do contract audio work, uh but more so voice acting. But it's nice to have that in my pocket to fill in the gaps
Oh
because
yeah.
yeah, sometimes it does get slow, and you just got to keep the income streams flowing. So my regular 9 to 5 that I don't do anymore was assistant and what they call second engineering at the voiceover recording studio. So I would um take notes in session. Basically, when they're recording, they would record 3 versions of a line or maybe more, and they would be on specific take numbers. So every time the audio starts and stops, you have a new take number. So I'd be writing down, all right, this is take 2. And then he read it 4 times, the line 4 times. So take 2, A, B, C, D. And the director would be like, I like C. And then I circled that one. So later an editor could take my notes and kind of cut up the audio and pick out what they wanted from there. Um, but now when I do audio work, do audio work. I'm like a 17-year-old trapped in a 33-year-old
Oh,
man's body.
yeah,
I'm like, do. But
all good.
but I'm usually doing mixing. So I'll mix the audio for commercials, um, and promos, stuff that's like coming up next on NBC, an all new episode of Daryl's Hot Dog Challenge or whatever. I want to see that. No. Um, so mixing the audio, post audio for that. And I do also a little bit of be silent, Fern. Um, game audio editing for
Nice.
yeah, yeah, for some I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say them yet, but
Oh, gotta wait. I get the whole, NDA thing, all
yeah.
that stuff. And I'm sure you can probably agree and with this when it comes to someone who's wanting to get into voice acting, that it doesn't hurt to still like have that a second job to help with your income.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it takes a lot to be fully full-time voice actor. And I'm getting there, baby, but still needing some things every now and again to just
I
fill in
mean,
the
I'm sure
blanks.
even like your most like seasoned voice actors who've been doing this for years always have either, a side gig or a secondary job to help with income.
Yeah, a lot of them do voice directing. A lot of them are directors also. A lot of them offer training in voiceover workshops and classes and all that jazz. It's
Hell,
just,
even
the uh, us voice actors technically we're all freelancers, really. So it's good to have, supplementary skills, be a jack of all trades, kind of
oh, I
just
I wholeheartedly
exploit
agree.
whatever you can do.
I mean, like you said, for example, like there are even some voice actors who are like producers or
Yeah.
helpers on like video games or t anime, TV shows, stuff like that,
Mhm.
movies. Because it doesn't hurt to have that like that that one voice actor to help, another voice actor get ready for a role or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, onto some of the stuff you've done. Um, I gotta ask real quick because it's been burning in my brain. How did you come about voicing an iconic character such as Havoc for the Mortal Kombat reboot franchise?
Yeah. Um, my agent sent me the audition. I auditioned for it, and then sometime later, I just got booked on it. And then I actually didn't find out it was Mortal Kombat until I walked into the session, just because, I think they keep things under pretty tight lock and key.
Oh yeah, no,
I want,
I've heard that many times where voice actors say, "Yeah, I got this role, but I don't know what it is," and next thing you know, they go in and it's like, "Wait, why does that say NetherRealm Studios, or what does that say
yeah.
Santa Monica Studio?"
Yeah. So
So,
yeah, that one I just straight up the audition for, and I remember the audition dialogue was not Mortal Kombat specific. I think they chose dialogue that was specific to the kinds of emotions they wanted the actor to convey, and um, so I was like, "Huh, what is this for?" And I just did my thing, and I like getting to. I don't have like a super low voice, but
right.
I like being able to like get down into the gravel and and I like doing creatures and monsters and gravelly, and I used to be a vocalist in a metal band in my formative years. So
Nice.
Negotiate, Havoc. We need proof that you'll deliver. I am not finished. For burning me, you'll burn in the Netherrealm.
yeah.
That's
In
pretty cool.
Yeah, in my high school years, I was really, really, really into Between the Buried and Me, like really into Between the Buried and Me. So we had to be in our screamy prog metal band and have
Or they
our
do
own
like
like
that that
8 to 10 minute
that deep
songs.
blood curdling like roar almost.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So I know Havoc has two different voices. I know before his bottom of his face gets melted. So did you have to do two types of different voices for Havoc? One where before his bottom of his face got melted and after his face got pretty much melted? Spoilers
Yeah.
for those who haven't played MK1 yet.
Yeah, and we did um I remember in the first session, the first dialogues we did were post face melting, and I kind of just, kept it through little gritted teeth, kind of just to simulate him have not having lips. But he's still gonna pronounce his P's and
Oh
everything
yeah.
that requires lips and all that jazz. Or else he would just sound like this, and now Jesse, you're ridiculous. But
Your next thing you're gonna sound like your next thing you're sounding like Baraka almost.
yeah, like Steve Bloom. He's
Yeah.
Baraka, right? Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He
Yeah, he
rules.
is.
He's a super nice guy.
Oh,
He,
I'll
yeah,
bet.
yeah. He's as kind as all get out. But yeah, that was the main difference. Is the more of the gritted teeth on the faceless stuff, and also we added more just like rasp and gravel. When because I'm sure he inhaled some liquid metal fumes when his
Oh
face got
yeah, I
bent and all that
mean,
jazz.
yeah, I remember watching that scene and just like hearing, that his regular voice, and then when like, because I'm sure even his throat got caught too, so that's why his voice like
Yeah,
had to be changed. But that just
yeah.
to work on such a amazing project, like especially with NetherRealm Studios, I'm sure that was a pretty cool thing too. When you found out that's what you're going to be doing.
Oh man, I like jumped out of my skin 30 feet in the air. I was so stoked.
Uh, so, this actually brings me to a question because I don't think I've asked this before with other voice actors. At least if I have, it's been a while. Advice for someone who's starting out with voice acting, and the next thing you know, they get this big major role for like a high profile video game or
hmm
TV show or anime. What advice would you want to give to someone who finally gets like that big role, like you did with Mortal Kombat?
Mm. Um, man, keep up on your acting chops for sure. Um, if you haven't already, like keep staying in workshops, voiceover workshops, if you're unsure about what goes on in a video game session and the pace of it, because there are voiceover workshops that are specific to different niches of the market, and yeah, you can get a leg up on and kind of quell your anxiety too, and get a little more idea to what to expect. And I would say, I won't speak to other actors and just to respect their privacy and all that jazz. But as far as me goes, reach out if you know someone who does video games, and you want to pick their brain, and you're maybe worried or unsure what to expect. Like if you asked me, I would gladly cue you in on anything I know.
Nice. I mean,
And
I know it's different with every type of voice actor, from voice actor who's just started to voice actors who've been doing this for like 10 plus years. Like, for example, Steve Bloom. I mean,
yeah,
his list goes up, and he's done so many different types of roles, from
yeah.
regular guys to monsters to you name it.
Oh yeah. And some actors, they either might not actually personally manage their social media, or maybe they don't have the time, or
Oh yeah,
they don't
no.
really check their messages. But it's always worth um I wish when I was starting out, I was less timid, and I was always like, oh, I don't want to bother someone, and there is a degree of um just consideration and respect that goes along with that. But the more I got into it, people are so nice and so kind and so willing to talk to folks. I wish I personally would have broken down that barrier sooner and realized it's okay to. And if someone doesn't respond back to you, then it's fine. You know, your relationship continues on as it always has,
Oh yeah,
non-existent.
no.
So chances are 99.99999% of people aren't going to get upset if you talk to them, you know.
I
We're all
mean,
just humans, man.
it
We're all
it
just
it
people, man.
it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah, exactly.
the people you've worked with in all these anime video games and whatnot, I'm sure you've picked their brain for some advice, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah. And fellow actors too. And yeah, there's a whole lot of support and love going around. So
Let's see, next question. What have been some of your favorite like moments while, doing voiceover work, whether it's been for commercials, video games, anime?
yeah. Um One of my favorites, because it made me feel like a stud, was my very first session for Company of Heroes 3, where I voiced the U.S. snipers in there. They booked me for like 2 hours, and it was just like 200 lines of all screaming combat barks, like "Get down!" Like there's Nazis. Wow, Nazis over there. No, that's not a line for the game. But and because I had my like singing training, and was a metal vocalist, I know to like how to scream from the gut and like support it with diaphragm, so
Hmm.
that it's not as hard. You can have more stamina that way. And we got it all done in like 45 minutes, and I walked out of there and I was like, yeah. It made me feel it made me feel like I was really doing it. But a less narcissistic moment, I would say, working with my buddy Phil Bach, who directed uh, this VR shooter called Gambit, um, and the client allowed us to. They're like, oh, whatever, the video game dialogue is there, but feel free to improv whatever you want. And also it was a mature themed game, so I just got to whip out all the dirtiest, nastiest jokes that I
You
wanted
can
and just
you
say
can
whatever the hell I want.
you
And we
can
were just like
correct me
laughing.
if I'm wrong. Is this
That's the Van.
that looks those look the art style looks pretty cool. I've never heard of this game before.
Yeah, I think it came out last spring. But we just
Oh,
got to
you
say like whatever we wanted on that, and
basically ad-libbing.
yeah, and making whatever jokes we wanted, and we were just cracking up the whole time, and that was yeah, that was a real blast.
Nice. So you said when you were younger you did some singing. What was that like back then?
Well, it started off I took uh choirs and elective because I was singing all my life, but also at that time I didn't want to do sports or PE, so I just chose that as my elective. And even in high school, can't believe this was a thing, but I did PE online so I could take more choir classes.
I've never heard of doing PE online. Like,
Yeah, you were supposed to work out and then or do your exercise and then
oh,
fill out like a
basically
weekly sheet, which I always lied about, and be like, "Yeah, I totally
basically
did a
do your PE at
yeah."
home and fill it out. And okay. That's I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't believe that was even a thing. But yeah, it was a super blast. I ended up being in a like a barbershop quartet uh for a couple of years. That was a blast. I would love to do that again. It's so fun. And yeah, it was choir in high school was one of the things that I actually really enjoyed and looked forward to. So I just filled all my electives up with as much choir as I could.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, so you do a lot of like screaming, especially like when it comes to the fatalities in Mortal Kombat
Oh yeah.
or any other voice. Did it ever like hurt your voice at any given time when doing like death screams or like yelling super loud in any projects you've done?
Um, there was I would say this was a coincidental booking on one of the Halo sessions I did. Actually, Dragon Quest, your story got booked later that day. I was like, oh crap. And so, I was going barking like a jackal for like 2 hours, and then I went and did try to do this like lower raspier voice. And that got kind of raw. Um and I was like, owie, but not enough to like cause a lot of pain because I'm very meticulous about just prepping. I always drink throat coat tea. I'll have like vocal throat spray. And then when you're screaming, it's always supported from the diaphragm. So like when you flex your abs,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that. And sometimes like a fist clench. I think actually the same guy, Phil Bach. I learned that from him a while back. And just clench one fist, but mostly just like just diaphragm ab support and support your scream from the basement up, and then it won't all just like through your throat, and that's where you can get into trouble. Um,
Oh, bet. Um, let's see here. I found ask that. Have you ever had the chance, as another question, have you ever had the chance of being guest at any conventions yet? So people like know who you've
no, I want to so bad. Um, I from what I've experienced, getting a con representation is kind of like getting a voice agent, or it feels like it all over again. So I need to get my ducks in a row. I'm taking the steps actually on. I'll plug myself a little bit
Oh,
right
oh
now.
yeah, yeah. No, feel free to drop your links below so people know where to find you. I usually do that at the end, but why might as well do it now.
Oh sure, but on January 30th, I'm having my first live. Oh no, I don't want to attach a picture. My first It's a company called Streamily.
I've heard
I think
I've heard of streaming lately.
yeah, they do like live stream autograph signings and stuff. So I have a
Oh,
bunch of
nice.
Havoc art. And I'm doing that January 30th at 10 a.m.
Nice.
Which is a Tuesday, but the great thing about that is even if you can't make the stream, like you can still order stuff and I'll sign it and I'll send it to people. So that's kind of like a,
That
a
kind of gets your
con.
foot that kind of gets your foot in the door for autograph
Yeah.
signings.
Yeah. It's kind of like dipping my toe into the whole uh yeah, it's kind of like a signing at a con. So
Nice.
hopefully this year that's one of my goals is to get some
I
con
mean,
representation and
that again, that'd be cool to, go to a con and like see people who, voice some of their favorite characters or various roles.
yeah, and I love meeting people. Sorry, I'm
Oh,
typing and talking at the same time.
oh, you're all good.
I just put on my oh yeah, now I'm on TikTok. I was making my first TikTok this morning and it made me
Nice.
feel really old. A lot of YouTube tutorials to make a 30-second video.
All
But
good.
yeah. Yeah, so hopefully con stuff in the future.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it
So
would.
all together, what has this been like just doing this all together in general? The voice
Mm.
acting, the singing, and then, working for doing, behind the scenes stuff for some studios.
Oh man. Hmm. Well, I'll start with the negative, I'll end with the positive. On the worst, it's been just tough mentally and emotionally at times. Everyone has their self-doubts at some point. Sometimes like, oh, am I even good at this? Like, am I going anywhere with my life? Maybe that's a little intense, but hey, my mind goes where it'll go. But that is counterbalanced by it's just feels great to, and I feel very thankful and grateful that I have a line of work where I can express myself creatively and where from the response I've gotten that people are like invested and stoked about it. And yeah, as a lover of video games all my life, when I did audio school, I wasn't specifically expecting like I'm gonna go into video games, but for this to be where I ended up is pretty great. And yeah, I love it.
So it's definitely had a lot of it seems like it's had a lot of positive impact on your life too.
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. I don't know what else to add to that.
Oh, no, you're all what if in some of the other positives for doing this, just, behind the
Mm.
mic and outside of the mic.
Um, you get a lot of fun bloopers,
No,
like in
I imagine.
session.
What's been your favorite blooper of all time?
Oh man. Ah, that would have to be. I'd have to dig in the mind palace for that one. You see, I say it and then I can't conjure one up. um,
All good.
uh, oh, I remember on New Vegas. I forget who the actor was, but I remember he had a line. I was like, "That's some shit right there." And I can remember we just had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that's again the fact that you worked on such an iconic game like Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
That must have been like, if you can remember, how old were you when It's been a while. It's been that was a 360 game, so it's been a
Oh
while.
yeah, I would have been 20 when I worked on that.
It's been that long since Fallout. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, like 2010, I think we were working on it. Um,
Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, to that. Wow. I wasn't even 20. I was like 17 when that game came out. Wow, that's showing my age.
Crikey.
That's showing my age back
Crikey.
then. Um,
Oh, but also a very positive thing is I get to be very much myself, you know. I don't have to button myself up for um
don't have to come all
you know
decked out looking classy and everything.
yeah, you know, and I'm a I'm a jokester and I like to, you know, just wisecrack and fool around. So I don't have to augment myself at all in this line of work. I can just be me.
Nice. Now a question I always ask voice actors, and it's probably one of my like if it's like it's a real serious question. Advice for those, and you can be 100% honest as you can as you like.
Yeah,
What kind of advice would you want to give to someone who wants to get into voice acting, whether they've like been doing small roles? Because I know lately on Twitter, Twitter's been flooded. Because I call it Twitter, not X, but Twitter's been
me
flooded
too.
with what Twitter's been from what I've seen in the past, especially 2023. There's been like a lot of people, indie people just starting out with dropping voice casting calls and
Yeah.
whatnot. So people have been dipping their toes in that. What kind of advice would you want to give someone who's just starting out when it comes to voiceover work or in voice acting?
Mm. Mm. Advice starting out?
Because I know there are some people, who just started out who want to get that big role right away and not start off somewhere small. Because I mean, I'm sure you started at the bottom and worked your way to the top.
Yeah, the biggest advice I could give is just keep in context, even though it's called voice acting, but acting is the titular word. And voices are great, but at the core of it, it's all about the acting, man. Acting's got to be on point. As long as and because sometimes I'll take classes and workshops that are not voiceover specific, that are just core acting training, because I don't have a degree from an acting degree from a liberal arts college, so I ended up getting my acting education elsewhere. So yes, keep up on your vocal versatility and your voices and all that, but keep acting at the core, and that'll take you far. And also, don't get discouraged. I know that's better said than done, but uh it's gonna feel like you're beating your head against the wall and getting nowhere. But as long as you are taking small incremental steps, you are getting somewhere. Absolutely. Um and if you don't have an opportunity to get an agent yet, or maybe that's not your end goal, you can always try like voiceover casting sites. Um, like Actors Access is one. That's
Yeah, I've heard,
more for general acting. Or
I've
Voice
heard of
One
that
Two
one.
Three is a great one too. I started off doing Voice 123, and that's a great way to just have regular access to copy, because ideally you want to be just reading copy um, every day if you can, because the more you read it, the better you do. The more you'll get familiar with it.
No,
And also, good advice is just remember to have fun.
oh no, that's an important thing. N-
I have to remind myself that sometimes. But
Now,
it's like, if you can't have fun making a video game,
mm,
making a cartoon or an anime, what have
mhm.
you, if you're not having fun or you can't fun doing it, then why are you doing it?
I mean, I'm sure there have been times
Life's
where
too short.
you've
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been times where you've turned down roles just because it feel like it just wasn't the thing you wanted to do too.
Oh
'Cause I know
no,
some
I never turned down roles.
well, I know sometimes actors will turn down roles just because it's, something they don't want to do and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm at that stage yet. I
I mean,
I
you'll,
appreciate all and any
you-
work. Maybe someday, but
oh yeah. And I'm also sure some advice you can give. Now, what type of advice would you want to give? Because this was brought up a few years ago when I did my first acting voice actor interview.
oh,
Advice
nice.
for those who want to who get into voice acting just to make the money. What advice would you want to give to someone who thinks that, oh, I'm in voice acting, I can make all this money? Because I know some people have that idea in
Yeah,
their head.
it's very much not that. I'll be brutally honest.
Oh no, please be on. Please be honest.
Yeah. um, I'm sure because it looks like because I'm in Mortal Kombat or whatever, I live on a helicopter yacht floating above a sea of blank checks. But no, it's a grind just like anything else. And if you're aiming for riches, I think that's kind of missing the point a little bit too. Genuinely.
Oh yeah, no.
Uh,
I've
so yeah, don't get too disillusioned by because especially on social media, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just the way it is the grass can always look greener, right?
mhm.
Um, and I don't necessarily want to see the tough points in people's lives. And a lot of times you only see the best parts of
Mhm.
people's lives, and sometimes that can um, cause that image to be inflated
Oh
to
yeah, I mean,
grandiose,
I've
like, oh, that person's doing so great and but that person's probably most likely just paying their rent and
oh
paying
yeah,
their
no, I mean,
bills
I've
and
seen. I mean, on Facebook and Twitter, I've seen my fair share where they do like the indie casting calls, and I'll say like non-paid,
Mhm.
which there's nothing wrong because that person's just starting out, wanting to get their foot in the door of wanting to eventually do more types of animations or whatever they're
Sure,
wanting to do,
or
whatever they're
game
needing,
development, yeah.
whatever they're needing voices for. And I've seen a lot of people get, well, what do you mean this isn't paid? Well, I don't want to be like, you don't have to comment then if they're not like they're because I guarantee they don't have the money or whatever money they did have, they spent to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah, yeah, and there is something to be said for that. Yeah, but there's I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're all good, man. All good.
No. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you can get an idea. It is if it's like a small indie developer.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, sometimes they just want to get their little mobile app off. Then maybe they don't have the 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 money to pay people, but
And that happens.
most of the time, and not just for me, it depends on someone's skill level too. If someone's green as an actor, also, if they're
Hmm.
experienced as an actor, if you're giving a service, then you should be compensated for that service. But if it's a mutual trading of newcomers or people who are newer to the industry trying to get their foot in the door, then that's the completely valid way. But if NetherRealm Studios was coming to be like, hey, you want to be in Mortal Kombat? It'll be great exposure. you, it'll look really good on your IMDb, but you have to do it for free. Then it's like, no.
No, no,
So
no,
yeah,
no.
there's like I would say like a threshold of people who are just starting out. They don't have the resources to pay people, and then maybe people who are thinking like, hey, maybe we can get some free acting out of this, maybe a little more predatory in that regard.
Mhm.
But hopefully not. But yeah, the great thing about that is you can hop on those casting sites like Voice 123 and maybe you'll find something that only pays $50. But
I mean,
if you
that's how much I got paid to do a small voice role for an art student's a 3 minute animated project, and it's like I didn't
oh,
really
dope.
I more didn't really care about the money. I just wanted to
Yeah.
myself out there. The fact that I got like,
Yeah.
hey, that's a nice little bonus. It was a fun
Yeah.
project to do. It was only like a one-time thing, but I super enjoyed it, and I really got to give props to the person who created that little animation project for their,
Yeah.
for their class projecting in college.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would encourage people to, if you're looking for talent, you don't I know everyone's poor and shit's tough.
Oh yeah.
But if you can give just like even, a couple bucks, 25, $50 to just compensate a little bit. And I would hope someone would do the same for that person in their
Oh yeah.
animation or and
I mean, I know not
development
everyone
skills.
can. I know not everyone who has those projects can pay right away, but like
Sure.
if it kicks off, then later down the road, there's a chance they may compensate the people they had voice
Yeah.
for their project.
And I will disclaimer, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, it's always good. It's always good to have those disclaimers. Um, so two more things. Any just last minute advice you like to throw out there from what we've discussed?
um yeah, always be learning. Always even more seasoned people, there's life is about learning. There's always new things to learn. Always be refining your craft. See where you can find, if you don't live in a big entertainment hub city, a lot of people do voiceover training over Zoom and stuff like that. I would encourage people to get training that way. And yeah, just if you approach everything with kindness and not just kindness towards other people, but kindness toward yourself
Oh yeah,
also,
no. That's a
then
big thing.
oh, absolutely. That's the hardest thing. I think a lot of us can agree on. uh yeah, if you keep that at the forefront, then you can't go wrong.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, last but not least, for those who are listening and are watching this, would you care to drop your pluggables below so they can follow you, or in case, a con wants to come and have you as a guest later down the road?
Oh, yes. You can, well, if you haven't already, January 30th, 10 a.m., be there or not be there. You can order a print at streamly.com/Jacob Craner. My Instagram is jacobcraner.vo. My Twitter/X is Jacob Craner. And I just made a TikTok this morning, so it's Jake Craner VO, all
I'll
strung
definitely,
together.
I'll
So
definitely be sure to follow you. I already follow you on Instagram now, but I'll be sure to
thanks.
follow you on TikTok as well. And yeah, no, definitely looking forward to seeing the kind of stuff you'll be doing later down the road.
Yeah. Oh, there's stuff coming.
Oh, I know you can't
I
really,
can't wait. Yeah.
I know you can't say, but I'm looking forward to
Oh, for
seeing it and
sure.
hearing it, man.
Oh yeah, and I'm stoked to talk about it when I can.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Well, I think that should do it again. Jacob, thank you for coming on to talk about not only what you've done, but also stuff outside the mic as well.
Absolutely.
Real great pleasure. As always, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.